the News Channel 5 network, this is MorningLine with Nick Beres.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on MorningLine. I'm Nick Beres. It is Monday. Hope you had a good weekend, and I'm, as always, thrilled that you're joining us for the big shows. We start off the work week today. I hope you did have a good weekend, and a lot to talk about today. We're not doing open phones today. Actually, we'll be joined in just one segment from now to talk with Allison Fields, our veterinarian. We'll open up the phone lines on that. But just before we get to her, and actually she's still making her way into the building as we speak, just want to take a moment here, and I know Mary Elena pulled some video, but to talk about the passing of a great American, and I'm talking about former President George Herbert Walker Bush. Passed away, of course, a couple of days ago. And as we speak right now, Air Force One is in Texas at an airfield there, picking up his body. And the former president will be brought back to Washington, D.C. today, and he will lie in state in the rotunda there at the U.S. Capitol. And he'll be there from today through Wednesday, and you see all these images of this president, and what a legacy he leaves behind. Regardless of what partisanship you may have one way or the other, the Bush family and his children and everything else, incredible. And he was a one-term president, but and we've heard so much from former presidents talking about him, what a decent man he was. He'll be in state until Wednesday in Washington, D.C., and we expect thousands of people to show up there to pay their respects to him. And then he will be flown back by Air Force One to Texas, where he will be buried next to his wife, Barbara Bush, who of course died earlier this year. President Bush was 94 years old. As I said, leaves behind quite a legacy, and I just wanted to take a moment to observe his passing. And it's always a big story whenever a U.S. president passes. He was the 41st president of the United States. And all these images, I'm just sitting here looking and thinking about it. You know, he did come into office at a time of the fall of the Soviet Union and the downing of the Berlin Wall, something that started with President Reagan. But again, he will be in state in D.C., and there will be stories on this, of course, tonight on News Channel 5 as well as the network news, and then leading up to his burial, which will be as he's flown back on Wednesday. So just wanted to take a moment to pay our respects to a great American. And all right, we will move ahead from that point now, and joining us now, another great veterinarian. All right, Allison Fields. Good morning. I was talking about how you were coming on this morning, but we wanted to take a moment to pay our respects. To pay our respects.
He was my first presidential election that I voted in.
Is that right? See, I mean, a lot of people will have moments. You think about that when there's a passing of a president and all of this, and your involvement in all this. Anyway, it was important, I think, to take a moment this morning to talk about that and remember him. And as I said, there will be a lot of stories that come up today and leading up until Wednesday. And again, he'll be flown back to you know, it was interesting when his wife passed, and it's close, and what a wonderful relationship they had. You wondered if he would go quickly after her, because it's heartbreaking. But he lived for some time afterwards, and I think this stat's right. I think he passed away as the oldest living former president, meaning that I don't think any president has lived longer than 94 years of age. I could be wrong, but I thought I heard that statistic
today. Anybody who goes skydiving for his 90th birthday is going to be living for a while.
That's right, didn't he? I mean, he would skydive every year, and his wife said, oh, if you really want to do it, and he did it.
He did.
Anyway, great man. Listen, thank you for letting us do that at the beginning of the show, and wanted to observe that. But it's good to have you on. How are you doing?
Good to be here. I'm good.
We're going to open up the phone lines in a moment, but we'll kind of set the table a bit. Again, she's a veterinarian. We can take your calls or questions. The number is 737-7587 on your pets, animals. Anything unusual going on at this point? I mean, as we know, the temperature is dropping. It's interesting. Now,
tell me.
Not just dogs, but you're always a big advocate on this, and obviously Allison's a great animal lover. I have chickens as well.
Right? They have sweaters.
So I don't know. They've got a down jacket. But I went out there the other day, and not yesterday because it was very nice, but their water was frozen.
Right. We have talked about this, Nick. How in the world could you let this happen?
Well, no, it was the next morning, and I went out. Oh, water's frozen. Changed it. Got fresh water for them.
Don't you have a water heater?
I do not have a water heater, but I visit my chickens every single day.
Chickens need lots of water.
Yeah, they do. They love it. But I've got 3 sources of water in there. I've got a bottled water, but yeah, and the bottled one in the plastic doesn't freeze for some reason. I don't know if it provides insulation.
It might be
where
closer
they can go and do the dripper.
Yeah.
But then I've got 2 bowls for them as well.
Yeah.
And anyway, the point is, if you have an animal outside,
got to make sure that water's not frozen.
Oh, they're toast on that, right? If there's no water, they're not going to get it from ice.
People think of getting dehydrated in the summertime because it's hot, we're sweating, we're outside doing stuff. But in the winter, when it's freezing, if dogs can't drink their water because it's frozen, they can get dehydrated. And once they get dehydrated, they are more prone to hypothermia and things like that. So make sure that water stays unfrozen.
Just thought I'd mention that it's getting those temperatures. It's going to be that way later this week. And I ran into your colleague at the YMCA.
He did tell me that. He told me that you said to tell me hello, and I said hello.
He's great. And I was just asking you, I said, was it busy around the clinic around Thanksgiving because of these animals that overdo it and they get access to turkey that they can't handle?
The animals do not overdo it. The people overdo their animals. No,
did you see much? He said that it wasn't as much as usual.
We didn't see much. I think people are finally, after how many years of us saying don't do this, but I mean literally my Facebook feed, I have a lot of veterinary friends, and my Facebook feed was filled with these memes of, it's Black Friday, people are getting ready to go shopping. We're all getting ready to go deal with vomiting and diarrhea and pancreatitis and bone foreign bodies. And so we have our own Black Friday, which is what we expect because people have given these animals things that they are not used to, and we get into problems.
Pancreatitis, does that come about just when the body and the pancreas encounters a food that is so rich, what does it do to the pancreas?
So the pancreas, its job in life is to make digestive enzymes. And so when we feed our dog, let's say Purina dog chow, it has a specific protein content, a specific fat content, and a specific carbohydrate content. So their little bodies get used to that. Their pancreas is like on cruise control. I need to make this much of this, and this much of this, and this much of this. And that's what it does, day in, day out. And then we're like, oh, it's Thanksgiving. Let's give Fluffy a turkey leg.
Piece of turkey,
or stuffing or bacon or whatever. Well, the pancreas just lost its mind because now its percentages are all different. It's been on cruise control for so long that it doesn't really know how to make all of these enzymes. And usually it's the ones that we use for digesting fat that get us into trouble. And so it starts cranking out. The factory starts revving up. It's cranking out as much of these as it can, and it actually injures itself. It causes inflammation in the pancreas because it's been working overtime.
Oh.
So now,
I was wondering.
Pancreatitis, if you have ever known any person with
humans can get it too.
It is screamingly painful. Like hospitalization.
Does it swell? Is the pancreas swelling when it gets overwrought like this?
Well, it's not
just
swelling
irritation?
It's irritation, but the whole thing is sore, painful. And so people, literally grown men, have been reduced to like major morphine in the hospital because it's so painful. So actually grown men is not really a good analogy. Grown women are much tougher than men. So women have been needing high pain. But I mean, it's very painful. It causes vomiting and diarrhea, and the dog just feels miserable. And the unfortunate thing is that we do it to our pets. So I used to see a lot of cases of it, and we still do, and usually about 3 or 4 days after Thanksgiving is when it happened, so early last week. And Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Easter are the big ones that we all are like, here we go.
Oh, well, I'll say this, when you talk about humans, it just made me think, I don't know about you, but I don't drink much milk anymore, and if I do, it's skim milk. All right, but every once in a blue moon I'll be somewhere and all they have is 2%, but God forbid they have whole milk. And I actually when I first tasted it, who doesn't like creamy whole milk a little bit? I drink that, and I've not gotten pancreatitis, but I'm just imagining that's kind of how it starts. My body's not used to something that rich. I drink a glass of whole milk, tastes good going down, I feel sick the rest of the day. I do, because it's just too rich. My body's not used to it anymore. It's like anything. If your pets are eating a good science diet, like you say, and all of a sudden you slam them with a turkey leg, it's going to make them sick.
And people are like, well, I grew up and all my dogs did was eat leftovers. Okay, right. Those dogs, all they ate were table scraps. So their pancreas was used to.
Yeah, that's the difference.
It was like, what's coming today? It was ready. It was always ready to go.
Again, now you're not recommending table scraps because it's not in the long-term interest. But as you know, I have a pug that's a table scrap hound. And he's eating stuff where a lesser dog.
Okay, he's not a counter surfer. He's too small.
A lesser dog would have gotten pancreatitis.
A lesser dog.
But he is not, because he's been eating table scraps probably for a lot of his life. You know, he really likes ham.
Of course he does. Why aren't you a client of mine? I can make a lot of money. You are lucky that he is not.
We are. But we stick to the science diet.
Pugs are the Hoovers of the dog world. They eat everything.
I guess.
I mean, you drop it, they eat it.
Yeah, if they see it going in your mouth, it can be a Brussels sprout, and they'll eat the
don't have to go in your mouth. You can drop a screw and they eat it, or an earring and they eat it.
That's a really good point. They don't even take time to taste it.
No. It's gone.
All right, we'll take a break on that note. We come back. We've got calls already coming in for Allison. If you have other questions besides on pancreatitis or frozen water bowls, she's more than capable of answering them, though we probably will have trouble answering any questions about fang removal of poisonous snakes. It's something she doesn't do. If you have a poisonous snake with an abscessed fang, Allison's not the one to help you. She may be able to refer you. She may be able to refer you. Actually, if you do have a poisonous snake, I want to hear from you. All right, the number is 737-7587. If you're on hold, stay there. The lines are open. Let's call and talk to your pets right after this.
Medicare annual enrollment ends December 7th, and you shouldn't have to figure it out